does. Hello, everybody. Hey, say hey. Say hi. Delani. Delani. Oh, wait, Delani. Okay, we're going to start to. Ooh, wee. Ooh, wee. Say hey. Good job, Delani. All right, guys. Good evening. It's your girl Theron here with another edition of Swag our empowerment calls. Today is I'm about to say September. Today is July the 20th, 2021. And I'm so excited about today's call. We have our own Swag ambassador, Miss Lisa Yeomans, coming on today. And we had our guest to grandbaby Kalani. But I'm excited today about her topic. It's called the weight gain. And as you know, last week we had Shanita to talk about the physical weight, and this is the weight WAIT gain. So I'm so excited to see what she has to tell us on tonight. As always, we go ahead and begin in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for allowing us to see this mid month in June, God. We thank you for everybody within Swag, you and those that listen to this recording. We thank you for Miss Lisa, Miss Katie, and Shanita, and everybody else, God. We thank you for Miss Lisa, Lord, as you give her whatever wisdom that you've given her to give us on today, God. We thank you, God. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you for all the wisdom that she's going to drop and that she's going to drop on today. These are other blessings we ask. In your most holy name we pray. Amen. Amen. So I'm so excited to have Miss Lisa, the founder of Change Gonna come and talk to us on this evening. Go ahead, Miss Lisa.
Thank you. And Theron, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak on tonight. So, as you mentioned, the topic is weight gain, WAIT, weight gain. And I'm just going to start with some definitions of weight and also gain. So, to wait is stay where one is or delay action until a particular time or until something else happens. A period of waiting, to stay in place or expectation of, to look forward expectantly, to be ready and available, to remain temporarily neglected or unrealized, to pause for another to catch up. And gain is resources or advantage or increase profit, to act or process of the act or process of acquiring something, an increase in amount, magnitude, or degree, to arrive at, reach, attain, which is to gain ground, to make progress, to get by a national development or process, gain strength, and to improve in health or ability. So when we're talking about waiting, it doesn't necessarily mean doing nothing at all, sitting down with your arms crossed or standing like you're leaning against the wall or something like that. Because most times when we talk about wait, it's as if we're just stopping everything. So waiting can also mean serving and doing something or completing a task until you get your next instruction. And the wait can look different for everyone, depending on the time and season of your life, the preparation and progress you have already made, the details of what it is that you are waiting for. And sometimes we can kind of like get discouraged in the wait, especially when we feel that we've been waiting a long time. And sometimes we can look at over at other people and see where they're at, and they're getting the things that they've prayed for. They're getting the things that we pray for ourselves. But we're just in a season, or this is just right now in a place of waiting. So it does depend on what it is that you're waiting for. Sometimes we do have to wait for others to do what they need to do in order for something to happen in our lives. So it can look different for different people at different times and seasons in our lives. So sometimes we can find ourselves waiting for an answer. We can be waiting for someone to get back with us. We can be waiting for the next step in the process to be presented to us. And we can also be waiting on ourselves. So we have to be sure that we are not holding ourselves up and that we're completing the tasks and doing the things that are supposed to be done. Because sometimes we can see the end, what the end is going to be, or what we want the outcome to be, But if we're not doing the things that we need to do in the process, it's just holding us up, and we're causing ourselves to wait. So waiting for the manifestation or our desire or what God has promised, we can be waiting to move forward with a relationship. The wait can be concerning something dealing with your child or dealing with your marriage or any type of relationship that you're in. So what is it that you are waiting on? What is it that you have before God, that you have on your calendar, that you've written down that this is what you want to see in your life? And earlier I read that one of the definitions of wait is to remain temporarily neglected or unrealized. And sometimes while we're waiting, it can feel as though God has neglected us and that he doesn't realize how badly we want something. We want what we're waiting for, or how much we need the breakthrough, and how badly we want that change to take place in our lives, in our business, in our homes, or our ministry. So sometimes it can seem as though God has forgotten about us, that he's probably put us on the back burner, like we are neglected, especially again, like I said, when we see others going forth and others getting their breakthrough and getting their blessings and their business are flourishing, and we're waiting still, and it seems like it's never going to happen for us. And I put three statements here, which is the same thing: wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. And I've been seeing a lot lately on YouTube or TikTok and these little videos where in the caption it'll say wait for it, and then something crazy happened at the end of the video. And sometime in life, that's what God is telling us, to wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, and it's all going to play out. Now, when we are looking at those videos, I know for myself, I'm into it. I'm not trying to miss anything. I'm waiting to see what happens. And that's what God wants us to do when we're waiting for his timing, when we're waiting for the manifestation of what it is that we have before him, when we're waiting for our desires to be fulfilled, or when we're waiting for the breakthrough, when we're waiting for the relationship to come together, the marriage to come together, the children to get right. It's like, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. When I'm watching a video, I'm waiting with anticipation to see, and I'm looking at every detail because I don't want to miss what it is, this thing is going to happen at the end of the video. And when we put something out before God, that's how we have to be. We have to be watchful in our waiting and paying attention to everything that's going on, to everything that God is doing in our lives and around us. So why is it that we have to wait? Well, there's several reasons that we have to wait, and this could be different for everybody, for each individual. So sometimes people have to wait because you're not ready, and that not lack of readiness could be a lack of self-control, a lack of maturity. Your motives can be impure motives. So you have to ask yourself, why do you want what it is that you want? And if you're not ready, in what area of my life am I not ready in? Another reason that we have to wait is it's not our time yet. You know, God, everything happens in God's time for our lives. And one of my favorite verses is he hath made everything beautiful in his time, not in our time, because sometimes we thinking we have to have it right now. But God is saying now is not the time for that. Now is not the season for that. I was listening to my pastor's wife on Friday, and she was talking about the first ladies and those that when she was like coming up through ministry or whatever, just starting out and going out speaking, that everybody had to have a St. John's knit suit, a very expensive suit. If you was a speaker, that's what you had to wear. And she was saying how she was talking to one of her friends and how they was going broke. Like people, like those ladies was putting their pennies together to get those suits, you know, so that they can go and make it appear that they was in a place that they were not. And it wasn't their time yet. Because when it's time, in God's timing for us to do a thing, there's not going to be a struggle for us. We're not going to have to worry about where it's coming from. And one of the Bible verses says that the blessings of the Lord, it make rich, and he has no sorrow to it. So we're not going to have to do all of these crazy things just to save, or just to appear to be in a place in life that we're not. So it's best to wait to the season for certain things in our lives. And another reason that we have to wait is because we lack the capacity to receive the gain that God has prepared for us. And if we just all take an honest look at our lives, take an honest look where we're at in every area of our lives, are we really ready for what it is that we're asking God for? Or do we really have the capacity to receive everything that God has for us at this particular time? And I think about the Bible verse when it says you can't pour new wine into old wineskin because it will burst open. Well, the old wineskin doesn't have the capacity to hold the new wine. So do you have the capacity? Do you have the spiritual capacity, the mental, the emotional? Do you have the capacity to hold the new things that you are believing God for, that you desire for God to release into your life? Another reason we can be waiting is that God is preparing or testing us. We know that with promotion, there comes testing. God is going to make sure that what I place in your hands, you're going to be able to handle those things that I place in your hands. You're going to be able to handle the responsibility of what the blessings bring with it, because our blessings do bring a certain level of responsibility. Our breakthrough bring a certain level of responsibility. When we're talking about relationships being repaired, that brings a certain level of responsibility after we receive those things in our lives. And then another reason is disobedience. If you're not obedient to what God is calling you to, and to what you want from God, and he's giving you steps to take, if you're not obedient to that, then you're prolonging the process. It's not that God has you in a waiting season or waiting period in your life, but you're actually putting yourself there because you're not being obedient to what God has already told you. So again, that goes back to, we can hold ourselves up. And then another thing is, sometimes it's not that we're waiting on God, but God is waiting on us. And I remember years ago, I was in a church service and someone actually said it to me. She said, it's not that she said, you think you're waiting on God, but God is actually waiting on you. So have you completed the instructions that God has already given you? Have you completed those things? And then I have some examples of waiting. When we look at an airplane, sometimes an airplane has to wait before it lands. Sometimes the tarmac or the runway is not cleared for the airplane to have a safe landing. And sometimes God has us in the air. Hopefully we're caught up in worship in order for us to land safely. Sometimes we want the promotion, we want the job, we want I'm from a single woman's perspective, we want the relationship, we want to be in a relationship with someone, we want to be married. You may want to start the ministry, or you may want to go another level in your ministry or your business, but you can't see what God sees. When we're on the airplane, not only can we not see what's below us, we're not even in communication with the tower that's telling the pilot, you can't land now. Because if he lands and the thing is not clear, a lot of people are going to lose their lives. So sometimes we can be waiting because God wants us to have a safe landing. And then they tell the pilot, clear for landing. And that's how God does in our life. It's clear for you to go through this door. It's clear for you to go to the next level. It's clear for you to step into this promotion. It's clear for you to do this in the business. It's clear for you to get into this relationship. And another example, and I spoke about this a little bit over the weekend, the bus. There was times when I took the bus and the bus was ahead of schedule. So sometimes we had to stop at a stop because if we would have went ahead, people would have missed the connection. We would have missed the connection for someone to get on that particular bus, or the people that was on the bus already they may not have missed the connection, but then they would have gotten off the bus and still had to wait. So are we missing connections because we're not waiting, because we're moving too fast, because we're just trying to get it done by the deadline? We have a date out there. We told people we was going to do it. We posted on Facebook. My book coming out July 15th, next week. And now we got all this stuff going on because we're trying to reach a deadline that God didn't give us. So it's not our time, it's his time. And again, he makes everything beautiful in his time. And another place of waiting is at the doctor's office, your appointed time. And you sit in the waiting area and you wait, and people may be there before you. There may be some people you got there before, but they still go before you because it's not your appointed time. So you don't get up in the doctor's office and act crazy. Now you may complain under your breath or into yourself, but you just don't get up in there and just go crazy in the doctor's office. You wait until the nurse comes to the door and calls for you. And I've been to the doctor where I've been called for. They come back, I go back, they check my temperature, they check my weight. Okay, go back into the waiting room. And then the doctor is going to call you next. And sometimes that's how God does. We can go back and we think, oh, it's time, but then God sends us back because now there's more preparation that needs to take place. And we must remember, like when we go to a theater and we see a movie, there's always an intermission. So we have to remember that there's always something going on behind the scenes that we can't see. So we can't get impatient. And I'm going to talk about that, how we wait. We can't get impatient and leave and miss the whole show because of an intermission. And we have intermissions in our life where things are going on behind the scene. God is always working on our behalf. And we know that God is working all things together for our good. It doesn't necessarily mean that you see everything that God is doing, but you have to trust and believe, which is going to get me into the next point here. How do we wait? Number one, we wait in faith. And we know Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And my own personal definition is faith is believing that I have that what I say that I have at the moment that I say it, even though I can't see it, I can't feel it, and I'm not living in the manifestation of it. So I believe that it is so, and I'm going to continue to do what is required of me, no matter what. What's going on around me, if it doesn't look or feel like there is no progress being made, I'm going to be consistent. And when we talk, I know Shanita talks about the weight journey, and I've been losing weight, and I've been working out because I wanted my body toned and my body looking a certain way. But the squats, the sit-ups, and all those hurts and pains and the sweat and the tiredness, when I look in the mirror, it don't look like I did anything. But I tell myself there's something going on the inside of me that I can't see right now. And it starts inwardly and it comes out and it works its way out. There's something going on, not only on the inside of us that we can't see right now, but there's something going on behind the scenes that only God sees. But if we keep doing what it is that we need to do, if I keep getting up, putting in the work, being tired, being in pain, eating right, then the manifestation of the body that I desire to have is going to come. We also, number two, we wait patiently. And patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. So when we wait patiently, we don't allow our emotions to get the best of us. And when we don't make emotional moves, we make effective moves. Because sometimes while we're waiting, and we just want to get there, our emotions can get the best of us. So the wrong emotions will cause us to move too quickly, will cause us to miss the place of manifestation. Wrong emotions can cause us to miss our yes, can cause us to miss our opportunities and our divine connections. So emotions can and will cloud our minds and judgment. So exercising patience will help us keep our emotions in check. And sometimes we just have to tell our emotions, not now, to shut up, to sit down. And we know Philippians 4:6-7 says that we should be anxious for nothing, but in everything with prayer and supplication, Let our requests be known unto God. And it says the peace of God that surpasses all understanding. So we have to exercise patience. It's going to keep our hearts and our minds. And when we do that, we'll have a peace about what God is doing in our lives. The third thing, we wait in gratitude. We have to be thankful. We have to be grateful for what it is that we have right now. We have to be grateful for what we can't see right now, what we can't see physically, while we're waiting for the thing that we desire. And we have to be grateful, and gratitude will cause us to look at empty vessels and see overflow, because the gratitude is going to magnify the fact that God is operating in our lives. And whatever we focus on, that is the thing that we're going to magnify. So if we stay with that attitude of gratitude, it's going to take us a long, long, long way. And it's probably going to speed up the process of the manifestation of the thing that we desire. Because if we continue to complain, continue to look at our situation as it is right now and get caught up in that, we're going to be stuck in that particular place, and we're not going to take the actions that we need to take in order to get to the place of manifestation. So 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, in everything give thanks. In everything, every situation, give thanks. We have to wait prayerfully, number 4. And prayer is our connection to God. Prayer is our lifeline. So we can't cut off our lifeline by neglecting to pray. Prayer is where we get our instructions. It's where we gain strength. It's where we hear the voice of God and the leading of God. And I heard someone recently, and it may have been on one of our calls, but I heard someone recently saying that just like we charge up our phones, we have to stay connected to God in that way. We have to stay charged, have that charger on at all times. And we do that through prayer. We're always to pray, and we can pray just going throughout our day. It doesn't necessarily have to be in any formality, like we're on our knees or anything like that, because we have to realize God is our power source, and prayers give us eyes and ears to hear and see God clearly. And one of my favorite verses is, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not into thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct our paths. And when we stay in prayer, we're acknowledging God in everything that we do. And the fifth thing is, we wait in the proper environment. So just like a fish can't survive outside water, a seed can't grow and produce a harvest in an improper environment. So we must intentionally put ourselves in the right environment, and we must intentionally be surrounded and connected to the right people. So we have to always check our surroundings. That's our spiritual surroundings, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Check the conversations that we're having, the things that we are listening to, the people that we are connected to, the things that we look at on television. Those things affect our environment, and the wrong things coming in can put us in a place that we don't desire to be, or hold us in a place where we don't desire to be. The wrong environment will cause you to focus on what you see, become impatient and distracted, and complain and walk in fear. What thoughts and words control your environment? And 2 Corinthians 6:17 said, wherefore come out from among them and be separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. And I'm relating that to my subject here. What is it that you need to separate from? What conversations do you need to come out from among? What is the unclean thing in your life? And I'm not necessarily talking about sin. Paul said everything, he can do everything, but everything wasn't really expedient. Like, just because I can do it, that doesn't mean that I need to do it. Just because you can eat the chocolate cake at 10 o'clock at night, that don't mean you need to do it. So what is it, the thing that you need to let go? And that can be in the form of excuses, habits, distractions, mindset, different patterns that you have. So what is it? What do we gain while waiting? This is the wait game. For one, we gain wisdom, and we need wisdom to wait. We need wisdom to wait, to know that we need to wait. And we also gain wisdom while we're waiting. We gain the wisdom for our next move. We gain the wisdom on how to move, and we gain the wisdom on when to move. We gain insight and clarity. Clarity gives insight, and insight and clarity. Waiting gives us insight and clarity concerning others, concerning certain relationships. Sometimes we get in relationships, and I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. We get into different partnerships and different things like that with different people, and we don't wait. So we can wait in any instance of our life. We don't wait and let God give us the green light and say, yes, this is the relationship that you need to pursue. This is the person you need to connect with. And this is how you should conduct yourself. This is your role and your position in that. But if we wait, insight and clarity will come in those situations. And then we don't find ourselves connected to and partnered with people that God doesn't have any intentions of us being connected to and partner with. And it may not be a never connection. It could be like, this connection is not supposed to happen for you right now. And again, this can apply outside of relationships, can be in different situations and circumstances that we may encounter. And when we wait and we don't move rashly, and when we wait and seek God, go back to our source and stay connected in prayer, God will give us direction in those particular circumstances and situations. We gain strength. Isaiah 40:31 says, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. So your waiting could be your place of restoration and renewal, purging and pruning, so that you can flourish and soar. So waiting can renew your health and ensure longevity in life. Sometimes we just need to wait and not take on things just because it's there. I heard a lot of people say, never go grocery shopping while you're hungry. Don't go to the buffet, because you're in there buying things and stuff you don't need, And sometimes we get a little thirsty. We could be a little thirsty in life, especially when we disconnect from the source. We can get hungry when we disconnect from the source. And we're just out here drinking and eating everything that's not beneficial to us on any type of way. And it's shortening our lifespan, literally. And I just want to read, my time is almost up, so I may speed up here, about the eagle, because this verse talks about eagle. So naturally, an eagle lives between 20 and 30 years in the wild. It can live up to 70 years. But to reach this age, the eagle must make a hard decision. In its 40s, its long and flexible talons can no longer grab prey, which serves as food. Its long and sharp beak becomes bent, and eagle's beak is hooked to rip and tear its food. Its old age and heavy wings, due to their thick feathers, become stuck to its chest and make it difficult to fly. Then the eagle is left with only two options: die or go through a painful process of change that lasts 150 days. So the process requires that the eagle fly to the top of the mountain and sit on its nest. There, the eagle knocks its beak off against a rock and plucks it out. When a new talons grow, the beak starts plucking the old age feathers, and the eagle cannot survive without food or anything close to 150 days. A few days without food might be possible, but no longer. So after 5 months of waiting for restoration and renewal, after new feathers have grown, the eagle takes its famous flight of rebirth and lives for 30 more years. So it goes through this process of a painful process of purging and getting rid of different things like that. Then it has to wait to be renewed. And when we wait, we renew our strength. When we wait and we go through this process, things are coming off of us that we don't need, that's slowing us down. And finally, we gain breakthrough. And when I thought about breakthrough, I thought about a time in my life when I was going through a lot of homelessness and different things like that. And I was like, God, turn it around, because in church they said, turn around. You turned around in a circle, you got dizzy, you gave a turnaround offering. But I remember one day God told me, I was confessing, God is going to turn around. God said, I'm not going to turn it around for you, because every time you turn around, you go all the way back and you're starting all the way over. He was like, you're going to get your breakthrough. So we receive our breakthrough while we're waiting. And Daniel received his breakthrough 21 days after he prayed. The children of Israel received their breakthrough after marching around the city of Jericho 7 days. Abraham was 75 when God promised him Isaac. He was 100 when Isaac was born. Jacob waited 7 years for Rachel to be his wife. Joseph was sold into slavery, lied on, and thrown into prison and forgotten about because he was positioned in and forgotten about before he was positioned as second in command in the land of Egypt. Job had to wait on the manifestation of his healing. So breakthrough will come, but are you willing to wait on the breakthrough? Are you being wise or foolish? Are you being a wise or foolish version in the process? And I'm not going to read all of this, but in Matthew 25 and 6 through 11, it talks about the wise and foolish virgins, how some had it, 5 had oil and 5 didn't. And then the part of that, it said the bridegroom delayed his coming. So they had to wait on the bridegroom. And while the bridegroom delayed his coming, they slumbered and slept. But 5 were prepared and 5 were not. So when it was time for when the bridegroom showed up, and it was time for them to go into with the bridegroom, the foolish virgin was to the wise, say, hey, give us some oil. And the wise was like, no, if we give you our oil, we're not going to have none. So you need to go buy some from those that sell it. But by the time they came back, it was too late. The door was already closed. And in our waiting, when we haven't prepared ourselves, we miss our breakthrough. In our waiting, when we're not preparing ourselves, we miss those open doors and those opportunities, like I was saying at the beginning. So are you ready to receive the gain that will come as a result of your waiting? Could you be the reason that your gain has not shown up yet? Have you missed it? So we have to stay ready, because God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ask, think, or imagine. So what we have to gain exceeds our expectation, and it's always worth the wait. And I'm about to close here, but I love this movie, Jingle Jangle, when the apprentice did not wait for his master to give him the plans, to give him the next thing. And he was so impatient, and it was some things going on in him. I spoke at the beginning. Could it be that there's another level of maturity that you need to get to before you get that promotion? And he destroyed everything. But in the end, one of the favorite lines of the movie for me was, his mentor told him, I would have shown you everything if only you had waited. How many times does God say that to us? I would have shown you everything if only you had waited. And he would have received everything. He would have received an inheritance and all the plans, everything. But because he did it the wrong way, and when we do things the wrong way, we have to look at it, we kind of like stealing from God. He stole all the plans, he stole all of these things. He made a lot of money, but God, the mentor, wanted to give him more. What is it that we didn't wait for? And now we can see that God wanted to show us more in that area, but we were not willing to wait for the gain that God had for us. So Theron, thank you for allowing me to speak on tonight. I really do appreciate it. So wait on the gain that God has for you, and know that it's not all going to come at once for various reasons, depending on where you're at in life, depending on spiritually, mentally, just depending on God's timing. Some things is just not time yet. God can show us stuff, but that doesn't mean you're going to get it tomorrow. That doesn't mean when you wake up in the morning, it's going to be there. So we have to wait on God to get everything that he has for us to receive. Thank you, Theron.
You wasn't that so good. I was taking some notes. I'm gonna let anybody else speak or have any comments before I dive in my little notes I got over here.
Hello. So I took a lot of notes, but the thing that stuck out to me the most is there is no struggle in God's timing. That cause look, I've been struggling in some things, thinking I'm doing the right thing, but it's like there is no struggle in God's timing. So I'm definitely doing a reset now, beginning tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a reset on a lot of things, on some things. because I know they get out of out of alignment with some things. So I'm doing a reset to get back into alignment so that I can get back on track to be ready to go when, when that time is over. And when you talk about you gain breakthrough, when you break through something, you don't just gingerly walk through a thing. You like go through like full force. So you have to be ready for it. So when that breakthrough come, I don't want to be standing there like I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm in the process of getting some realignment done with myself so that when my breakthrough come, I ain't gonna miss nothing and I ain't gonna be bruised in the process. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa, for that word. I'm having issues with my thing here.
You're welcome.
Yes, that definitely was a word for me. I hope you can hear me over my loud behind AC.
Yeah.
But it was definitely, there was some points. There was some points that I was nodding my head like, yep. There's been many times where I have not waited and then seen how the Lord revealed to me later that had I waited, I
Mm,
would have had everything my heart's desire, but I was just impatient or whatever it may be, or I allowed myself to be fooled by words and things,
mm, mm.
swayed by people's words and actions at the moment. So that was definitely a good word. I appreciate that. I take it and receive all of that.
Thank
I like how you also said that that there's a weight, WAIT. That's it. Blah. Tongue tied. Calm down. Okay. How it works in conjunction with the weight,
mm,
WIGHT, and things of that nature. Like there's a lot of things that we don't wait for, and then we undo all of the work. Like recently, I was just at an event, and they had birthday cake. And they was like, "Oh, Shanita, you want some cake?" And I was like, not after all the work I've been putting in. Not today. Say that not today. They was like, "Oh, come on. One little piece won't hurt you." But I know what it would do for me. So I learned that delayed gratification will get you closer to your goals. And I like I said, I'm not giving up my 4 weeks of work for just a slice of cake. I thank God that I don't even have that. Like I don't really even like cake, so I
mm.
was real happy about that. But I see it in other people and how how those two work in conjunction with each other or not work in conjunction with
Mm.
each other. If you don't wait, and then when you do wait, the results and the revelations of both. So definitely a good word. I like that.
Thank you. Thank God.
I love the analogies, especially when you were talking about the airplanes and airplane landing, and you know how it is sometimes not safe, it's not safe to land, and and when it's not clear, and God just wants us to have a safe landing. And then this analogy when you're talking about the doctor's office, this makes the doctor's office. If you do wait, and we do mumble stuff underneath our breath. Oh, why they go before we go? I got here first. We do say stuff, but we don't know what the urgency of somebody else's is first, or what they're doing. For us in the meantime. And of course, gratitude. We need to know how do we wait. And number three, which was gratitude, waiting in gratitude. I think people need to realize and cultivate gratitude way more because we need to be thankful. We really do because this world allows us to see so much that we're not thankful for the little stuff.
Mm,
We're not, even some stuff that may appear bad, we still got to be thankful for the. We can see there's still good in it. There's still good in it, regardless. And that's how I look with my situation with my son. Some I had to look. It was kind of hard, but I'm like, some people want children, and I had a son, and I had to look at it from that standpoint that he's still here. So we just had to look at and are waiting for what we truly want. Because we will have our heart's desire because it's already done. 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 You know, and like you said, God could be waiting on us. And there's other things that could be waiting in the background for us to get what we want. But like you had already reiterated, you know, what did you say? If we just wait, God will be able to give us all our heart's desire. So this is really good. I got to put some more notes. Let me see on my other side. Oh, you were talking about the levels of responsibility
Mm.
in the very beginning. I didn't write all of them out, but I just put levels of responsibility. If you talk about the different levels of responsibility for different things that we may want, yeah, and how God is. I put God is preparing, but I don't think I put the other part in there that I had her in my hand. But how God is preparing us for
Yeah.
that, and then with the levels of responsibility that we have to what we will gain
Hmm.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. Anybody else? I was trying to check on in the group. Do you have any comments?
A lot of things we don't wait for.
Oh, Kizzy said there is blessings in the wait. She said there's blessings in the wait. I said with myself. I think that's it for the comments. She's over here. But is there anything else you want to say?
No, something just came to mind when we think about Abraham, how he waited. However, I think some of his waiting also blessed the generations after him by him waiting and being obedient. And sometimes God is giving people promises, but they don't see those promises fulfilled in their lives. It's their children and the next generations after them that see those promises fulfilled. And when things like that happen, we have to be faithful to God, because it could just be that we're preparing the way for our seed or our seeds to walk into those particular blessings. And you know, we can't ever give up in it. We can't ever give up. We have to believe that God is going to do it. Like I know in like Hebrews, when it's talking about some people call it the wall of faith and the crowd of witnesses. It says that some of them people never got to see what they were believing God for, but they believed unto death. They had faith unto death. And we have to have the faith, even if it doesn't come in our lifetime, believe that our children, our seed is going to inherit the things that we will believe in God for, because it just may not be for us. Like, for instance, David wanted to build God a temple, and God said, no, you can't. But his seed was able to do that. So we just have to be mindful of that if we don't see it, somebody in our generation, in our line, in our lineage is going to eventually see that, because God is not a man that he should lie. And whatever he's promised or spoken, it's going to come to pass. It just may not come to pass while we're here in the earth, but those behind us. So that's why we have to be faithful. So we're not even being faithful for ourselves. Nothing is ever about us. Nothing is ever about us. So we're not even being faithful for ourselves, but we're being faithful also for those that are coming behind us.
That's right, for our children's children, or for our unborn nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I go back and look at the video, which was like Guaranteed is 3. So I think it was in early 2017. I would say that, and now look, I have a niece and a nephew. You know, I said your unborn nieces and nephews, and unborn grandchildren.
And unborn grandchildren. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So
what I started doing years ago, I became mindful that even though I didn't have children, I had nieces and nephews. So I just believe God for the good I showed to other people, because I don't have children. that my nieces and my nephews, they're going to get blessed by that. So when I show good and my niece is out and her tie goes flat or something go crazy, that she's covered because of what I did, because of the seed that I sowed, because I don't have natural children of my own. So I just prayed years ago that whatever I did, my good, that it would be repaid in that way to them, because I don't have children of my own.
Yeah. And because we have to think about our line or our generation or our family lineage. You know, don't have your children or whatever, then because sometimes our children may die in that and it won't be passed to that child. So again, family lineages and having that family prosper, that family get the blessings from the family, get the blessings from your prayers and for your blessings for what you got. Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we close?
Look, y'all, just wait. How the Bible said, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he will strengthen our heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. And if you haven't seen Jingle Jangle, y'all go see go see it just to hear the man say the last line of the movie. If you had waited, I was going to show you everything. And that's how God is. He wants to show us everything. But we have to wait and not allow people to get into our ear. And if we know that things are going on the inside of us, ask God to reveal, to help us in those things. And then ask God to reveal things to us that we will be able to get those things corrected. And that's what happened to the man in the movie.
Thank you.
He had issues going on the inside of him. So it was easy for somebody to come in and say something to get him off his course, to get him off course. So I don't miss too much. And I know it was sometimes that line was so real. If you had waited, I was gonna, and God be like showing you what he was gonna do. He ain't scared, he gonna show you what he was gonna do, and you missed it. Sometimes those things come back around, and sometimes it's just, hey, it's not gonna come back around. You just got to keep moving. But if we wait, it will come, because God he can't lie. So it's going to come to pass in our lives. And like some things could be being held up, like Daniel prayed, some things were held up, but it will come to pass in our lives if we wait. Just think if Joseph had his brothers bound to him when he was 14, he would have been a whole menace out there in the desert. But he had to be mature. There were some things that had to be worked out. I'm quite sure there was some humility, because we can't just believe he was a humble child. You the favorite, you got the coat. Your father done set you over your brothers in a sense, in a way. So he had to be, the humility had to come, and all those things had to come. So be prepared in the season of preparation. So when you get to the place of promotion, you don't mess up your promotion because you didn't prepare yourself in the season of preparation.
Yeah. In the season of preparation, because we all in our season, that's why we have to learn what season we are in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there's no other comments or questions, if there is one more Saturday, right? There is one more Sunday. Next Sunday is the fourth Sunday. Yeah, this 27th. Yeah, next Sunday is the 27th. So we have one more call this month, and I'm just excited that we even made it this far. Next month will be this, like, going on month number 7. And so also I'm interested, but y'all ladies welcome to come back in August. But anybody who listens to the replay, we are looking for people for the month of August. It's my birthday month. And so we are looking for people to come on and talk with and talk in August, yes. But that's it. I'm just excited about moving forward. Just moving forward, because look, we are going to get what our hearts desire and what we deserve as we continue to speak over our lives. And as Miss Lisa said, in our waiting, be waiting faithfully, patiently, with gratitude, and prayerfully, and in the proper environment, all things will happen for us. All right, ladies. Wait. All right, ladies, our hearts and minds clear. I'll see y'all on next Sunday.
Next
Good
Sunday.
night.
Next
Have a
Sunday.
blessed one.
Great week.
Take care.
Have a
Bye.
good week.
You too.
Someone? Oh, no. Okay. Don't tell Lonnie bye. No, I'm gonna drop her off. I'm trying to stop this recording. All right. Thank you, Lonnie, for passing gas on me. No, that wasn't. That was her. Yes. Yes.
Good.
What?
Good.
Huh. No, lady.
Huh?
She called somebody.